Today we're speaking to an entrepreneur that is scared about growing his business. On the face of it, he's actually got a really good business, helping himself to around £30,000 a month worth of revenue. But fear is stopping him from employing someone. He's scared if they're going to be able to do the job as good as him. So many entrepreneurs are cursed with this conundrum. Let's find out how we can actually get through that and grow his business. Hello campers, welcome back to the business broadcast. Now, we are very flustered today because I don't think anything's gone right.
No. I was here an hour and a half early and me and Chaz went, that was too easy. Looked at my bag and the one cable you need to make this whole thing work was not in the bag.
So he popped off to PC World, did you, or Curry's?
Yeah, they don't even have that anymore, do they, around here?
Anyways, he went and bought the key we needed. The thing we needed. But we're back here to give great business advice to entrepreneurs and business owners. We're speaking to Michael Kiernan today. I have to say, I was talking through to him. I sort of understand what he does. And I really hope from the bottom of my bottom that I'm going to be able to give some good advice here.
That's where you get most of your ideas from.
Yeah.
Pluck it out of there.
If anyone's got their phones turned on, make sure you switch them to silent, please, and your notifications off. I mean, how many things are you going to make up for that?
That's all of it now, though, I think.
Okay. This is, in his own words, this is the business and what it does. Saving hotels and multi-family residents hundreds of thousands on renovations using an accurate 3D technology and simple-to-use web application for all parties involved to use throughout a project.
Oh, okay, fine. That clears that up then.
Basically, like when...
He takes pictures of stuff.
Yeah, like the 3D render so you can see what something's going to look like when it's finished. That's what he does.
Okay.
And he charges between £130 and £150 per room, but most hotel refurbs have multiple rooms done, because that's what a hotel is, and it comes to around £15,000 to £25,000 per job.
So you might be listening at home going, well, what is the point of that? But he does it before the project gets started, so actually you can give accurate measurements of everything and therefore the materials, etc.
I think the best way of talking about this is architectural plans on steroids.
Right.
I think that's...
Gotcha. But it's not the architectural plans, is it?
No, but
they could go in, they could go, right, you're going to need...
But this is what it's going to look
300 like windows, you're going to need 25,000 square foot of carpet. So then you can buy just the right amount of stuff, so therefore negating over ordering or under ordering, etc. That's what I imagine one of the USPs is. I mean, if anyone's interested, his website is geomaus, maus.com. So geomaus.com. Click the clicky thing. Yeah, I'm going to click
the
clicky thing. Let's see if that gives us any clues.
We might, if we can remember in the edit, we will bring this up on the okay, so we can see here.
Michael was probably sat on mute in the background and you pair of idiots. I could just explain this so easily.
You can sometimes see this on high expensive houses where you can walk through the house when they're selling it to see. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, Metaport is a popular, isn't it? I might have just given one of his competitors a shout out, ironically. Sorry about that, Michael, if that's the case. But Metaport, you can go and see locations, can't you? But I think this is for like before the building happens, isn't it? Yes. Whereas Metaport is for more marketing material. I think this is to help with the build of the... I'm going to get that fly today. Fred the Fly's back.
Fred the Fly's back. He's here every episode.
He loves it here. And if anyone from Peter is watching and going, that's animal cruelty, it don't count. It's just a fly. Get over yourselves.
Funny enough, before we go on to... Are you about to say about a comment on the YouTube channel?
No.
On the YouTube channel, puts John Buckley, who's always the first to read.
Go on, John, what's he said?
It's how much he watches our podcast. He said, that's the same fly that joined you at the hotel at the Blue Boar. He obviously has come to the other location. He goes in your bag.
He follows around. Yeah. I forget the equipment. I just bring the fly with me. Before we do get started though today, do you want to hear a nice review?
Yeah, let's have a nice
little review. So this one, we don't always get nice reviews, but this one came up. This was a lovely little review. In fact, there's been a couple in the last couple of weeks. Where was the other one? Right, I'm going to read you two actually. First one from Josh Wood, or Josh Woody on Apple Podcast on the 1st of July. He said, JS, i.e. you, needs a knighthood. I've listened and watched to JS's content for a long time. What he has achieved is nothing short of incredible. I truly believe over the next few years, James will become mainstream as his socials blow up. In the process of growing my startup, I think about what James would say. Sales before operations, E plus M equals S. He didn't actually write in that language. I just imagined it in my head. It was going to sound like that. You want a business with margin, a business with scale, high barrier to entry, the 4-company philosophy, invest 50% of profits into slow paths, etc., etc. I've learned so much from James's content. Thank you to your continued success, Josh.
Very kind of him.
Lovely,
Thank you, Josh. Thank you.
I'd give him a round of applause on my own then.
Yep, thank you, Josh. Thank you.
And there's one other one. Fish and chip shop owners, thank you for the podcast and the YouTube channel too. There you go. So you're popular fish and chip shop
There we go.
businesses. Who knew? Couple of niches.
Do you want to just tell us a little bit about, I don't know if you've got the notes up here,
I have.
about Michael's business and what his challenges are and why he needs to come on?
Yes. So at the moment, we always ask people for their challenges and a bit of more info about the company. So it's been going 0 to 2 years, estimated monthly revenue of 25 to 30K. What was he saying the average order was? So you're getting 1 to 2 deals a month then, isn't he, based on that?
Can I just say that I think what is interesting about this business, he lives in Ireland, but like 99% of his business is in America, and he's never seen any of his customers.
No.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Surely your first bit of advice is going to be get on a plane and go and see him, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
We'll find out.
Sure, yeah, we'll find out.
Do you have team members? If so, how many? No, just one full-time currently. Myself. That's it. Just doing 30 grand a month. Average 2 value, 2 sales per month by himself. Biggest challenge is finding the correct avatar to market to target. Hello, can't remember anything or read today. Biggest challenge is finding the correct avatar to target with marketing to consistently bring in new clients, which kind of makes sense. Challenge number 2, potential for rapid expansion and the challenges of finding educated talent to onboard quickly to deal with additional jobs. Challenge number 3. The third biggest challenge, keeping on top of the broad range of scope which we cover: engineering, knowledge, project management, software development, sales and marketing, and then trying to hire the best for the company in these areas in which I may not have the most knowledge. Where does he want to be in 1 year's time? He'd like to be at 60 to 80 grand a month and being less hands-on day-to-day in the operations, more focused on the bigger picture and the sales and marketing. What does the business look like when it's finished? Generating a few million in revenue per year, and at a point where potentially one of my clients will be in a position to buy us out to make considerable savings on operations and future capital expenditure for their company. Does the business make the profit you want it to make? If so, how much? Profit margins are currently good, roughly 50%, but with the growth, the cost of operations should go down if larger contracts and more consistent work is brought in. Day-to-day in the business, he's doing all the day-to-day operations, sales, calls, invoicing, creative proposals, meeting with third-party contractors, etc. So,
interesting. I mean, there's something I want to point out straight away here. He said, do you make the profit you want to make? His profit margins are currently good, roughly 50%. With growth, the cost of operations should go down if larger contracts and more consistent work is brought in.
You're going to say the opposite, aren't you?
Absolutely, I'm going to say the opposite. As you bring in more people, you ain't going to be making 50% mark. You know, it's just not going to happen.
No. You're probably going to go from the amount of money that you're pulling out of that business, most likely, as a solopreneur, you're probably going to get 10 staff in before you see that amount of money back in your pocket.
Yeah.
At the quickest.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we get Michael on then before we butcher this business any further?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing that I think is just before he does come on, so that we make sure we get this point across. This is a challenge that lots of solopreneurs face. They're actually having a nice lifestyle. I mean, he's probably putting his pants on, working from home, helping himself to really good money. If he's bringing in 30 grand a month, he's making 10, 15,000 a month for himself, no staff, no one to answer to. He will have 5 staff and pay himself £5,000 a month. And then he's going to be sacrificing his 10,000 into the cash flow of the business. And anyone that...
For how long do you reckon? 24, 36 months minimum?
Minimum.
Yeah.
But, you know, really you've got to have 10 years in the game to...
Yeah.
But then it does come back good if you're good.
Yeah.
But only 5% make it to 10 years, so...
Well, that's cheery.
I mean, welcome to the Happy Clappy Show for entrepreneurship.
Terrible at tech, remembering things and generally motivated people.
Hey gang, James here. Great news. Business Masterclass is coming back to London. This is my ultimate 2-day event that will grow the profitability and size of your business so that you can have a commercially profitable enterprise that works without you in it. I've run this event before. People absolutely love it. We get rave reviews, and I'd love for you to come along. Imagine 400 business owners in a room serious about growing their business. Imagine the connections you can make. I'll be on stage teaching you all the stuff that I've learned over the last 20 years in 2 days to seriously scale your business up. If you want to find out how to buy companies, raise finance, get customers, and make your teams as profitable as possible, then this is the event for you. Look, it comes with my 100% money back guarantee. You come along to this event, and if at the end of day one you go, do you know what? I haven't got 10 times value out of what I've paid for this. I'll just give you your money back. And here's the great news. Tickets are only a few £100. There's no sleazy sales on the day. It's just me delivering all the stuff that I know about growing businesses. And I can't wait to meet you. I'll be there. We'll have a little chat with the other 400 people in the room. It's big enough, but intimate enough to really learn the stuff that I know that scales businesses. Cannot wait to see you at Business Masterclass. Now, every year the tickets go like hotcakes, so make sure you get your ticket now. The tickets are £299 as we're making this video, but they grow in value depending on how late you leave it. So get your tickets now before the price goes up. And I'll see you at Business Masterclass to grow your business.
Should we get him on then, find out more about this business? Michael, how the devil are you, sir?
Very good. Thank you for having me on, guys. Looking forward to
pleasure.
Looking forward to this.
We are looking forward to it as well. So we've obviously potentially butchered the summary of the company. Could you just quickly summarise it for our beautiful listener a little bit better? Are you like a Matterport before stuff gets built?
Yes, essentially, yes. Yeah, that'd probably be the best way to put it. But we go in, we scan a building, and then we use that data to make informed decisions on a renovation project, essentially.
So you said that your second challenge, was it the second challenge? No, the biggest challenge is finding the avatar. Who is the client at the moment, or who are the majority of the clients?
Yeah, that's the issue, because the way that I'm niching into hotels, and the way that hotels work is that the management and the ownership are usually separate. And so certainly in the larger hotels anyway. So finding the owner is kind of what I'm trying to get after, and it's not usually linked directly to that, whatever that hotel. So you can't go onto maybe the hotel website and find whoever the management company is or whoever the ownership company is, because even then you're trying to target someone within those businesses, and they're not really the people who have the say to make the decisions. It's usually the ownership of all of that. It's on top of that. So that owner might own 50, 60 locations. And that's the type of person that I'm trying to get after, because when I get onto them, it's a no-brainer for them, because I can see the higher picture, your helicopter views, you guys would say, and understand the value of having all of this at their fingertips.
So the owner of the building, not the manager of the company, is the sort of the primary focus. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that how you understand the hotel industry to work, Jimbo? The owners and operators are sort of two separate entities. So is Holiday Inn almost like rent to rent on steroids?
Correct.
Right.
Very, very. Well, actually, no, that's not. So the hotel owner might pay the Holiday Inn franchise to use that
brand.
Okay.
So you say, Mike says I'm correct.
But so that's what we've had before. Like I've been in touch with, like, you have IHG is a big one.
Yeah.
And so I'm in touch with them, but they would own a lot of the brands, but they're kind of a brand owner. And then they basically, you go to them and pay them a brand fee to, have that hotel. But that owner might own that asset, pay the brand fee, but then also pay a operations team to operate that hotel, and then moves on to the next asset. So they don't really have too much of an interest in the day-to-day of that hotel. It's just an asset to them.
But there are some situations where,
of course,
where the owner leases it to an operator. So there's 3 people involved: owner of building, operator, and then the franchise owner of brand.
Correct.
So in that instance, in the ecosystem, who is the party that needs who the most? Does the owner of the building go to IHG, or do IHG go to sort of builders? That fly literally landed on my head.
It kind of depends. Sometimes like the owner, like if it's maybe it's a bespoke hotel, the owner has bought a bespoke hotel and then they want it to be franchised, they'll reach out to the franchise, and then the franchise will usually come in with a property inspection plan, and you'll have to meet that property inspection plan or renovation plan to get the brand identity. And if you don't meet that, then you don't get the brand, and then you have to pay a fee for that brand itself.
But the brands can massively fill hotels. And,
of course.
Because people have Hilton Honors cards, don't they, and credit cards, and the buying power and the searching power and all of that. But I mean, what it all comes down to from the business macro here is cost of total capital deployed. And so does Hilton want to straddle themselves with loads of commercial property debt? Yeah, they do, probably to a point, and they definitely do own some of their own locations, but they would much rather have wealthy individuals that have got cash that own all the properties, and then they use their capital to build the brand systems and get more franchisees. It's very, I mean, this happens all the time. It's because why do Costa not want to own all the freeholds of their shops? Because if they've got £1 million, rather than buying a freehold, let's go and open 3 coffee shops, which on paper makes it look more. From a return on capital, it's much more liquid to have it open more locations than owning freehold property, which is something that I get in theory, but from a protection point of view, I'd rather own the freeholds and have less.
Would an IHG then, or brands like that, would they have like a sort of a percentage that they're working towards, like 10% ownership, 9% operated, and that they would, if they get too heavy on operations, that they'll, almost like what you said about diluting it, if you've got one client who's worth too much money to you, do you reckon they work on those sorts of...
I think every business has a different business case.
Yeah, the way things are going from like Marriott, IHG, and the rest of them, it looks like they're kind of more investing or wanting to own luxury, and then the rest they're kind of happy enough to have managed.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think what they want on their balance sheet is some of the big landmark hotels. So they'll want to own the Waldorf Astoria, or they want to own Claridge's. They want to have some of those headline things. Yeah, although I think both of the ones I've just mentioned there are probably independent. I don't but I think the hotel business model is a fascinating thing, and not really what we're here to discuss today. Let's but it'd be nice if there is anyone that owns a hotel that does listen. We'd love to get you on, because I think that
you own a hotel. Have you forgotten that you own a hotel?
Well, I do own a hotel, yeah. But
I know someone.
But I think that's why it'd be a fascinating conversation.
Like a big chain, a chain hotel.
Well, or just an independent, to see if we can chew the fat. I think it'd be good for listeners. So if you do own a hotel and you are listening, we'd love to get you on, and we'd actually prioritise you on the queue, because people are having to wait months. Actually, I think it's 9 months now before we can get on the pod.
Is it? So you actually have a baby quicker than you can get on this podcast.
Absolutely, baby. Right. So
some conversations will be less painful.
So I was thinking about how I would get customers for this business. I think the obvious one is definitely try some Google pay-per-click. I'm not drinking my coffee now because Fred the Fly's had a slurp. It's so annoying. I just don't.
Did we not have a fly swat around here somewhere?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Anyway, Google PPC, I would definitely consider that. I would also speak at construction conferences.
Yeah.
That's something else I would do. I would also speak and get to go to hotel conferences. There are lots of conferences for hotel owners, operators, franchisees, and people looking to invest in hotels in nearly all of the G7 countries. So they happen in Paris, they happen in London, they definitely happen in the United Kingdom. You need to go along to them and have a chat and walk around those, suss them out, and then maybe get a stand there and speak at those, and then have access for the stand price and access to the database to email out to all those people. And then also to lots and lots of people that are accountants and financial planners that advise wealthy people to invest in hotels, which is the business bit that we were just talking about. So this is people that build hotels and then lease them out to Marriott, Holiday Inn and IHG and all these people. That is where I'd be focusing. So talking to accountants and financial planners that get consortiums together to invest in hotels, find out where they are. I regularly get emails about them. I would, like people like St James's Wealth Management, they are the sort of people I would tap into. Hotel conferences for owners and operators, they're definitely 2 or 3 of those big hitters in London each and every single year. We've been to them, and people of your ilk are always there. And then speak at construction conferences for, or be around those construction conferences where architects go to. I think you'll find those things very useful.
Yeah, I've done a couple of those. The PPC is one that I've yet to look into, just because I found that, how do you target on Google for the type of individual or people that I'm,
architects,
who's going to be writing in, looking for the type of services that I provide.
I think they will be, and you can narrow it down. But don't do it yourself. Maybe go and speak to someone that really knows Google.
Yeah, and then I think maybe it might be off string slightly, but the target that I'm looking for obviously is that owners. That's the ideal target. The architect, I think, is probably more obvious, but what I find is that when I link in with an architect, they upsell my service as their own service. So my cut goes down, and then I'm kind of hidden to the side, if you know what I mean. So I don't really get that that recurring customer. It's more of you are a secondary service essentially to the architect.
The architect might have 10 projects on the go, though,
so
you only have got to sell it into them once, and then they'll bring you 10 projects by default. So you're not getting to the end user, but your end user becomes the architect.
Yeah.
There's something else just came to my mind. Actually, finding who is in charge of Hilton construction programs and IHG and all those big brands, and sending them something in the post.
Because it's not actually going to be Hilton that are doing that, is it? It's going to be like a Clancy Dockwara industrial
but Hilton
commercial.
will know. If you find that they'll surely have a regular thing how they do things.
Yeah.
But going to those conferences, I tell people this all the time. You've got to speak at them and add value so that people come and watch you. And you say and you call your talk, how to save hundreds of thousands of pounds with this little trick on refurbishing your hotel. Everyone go and see it and say, look, this things that you're not happy with at the end of the project can be avoided with this. You'll actually see what it looks like with this. All of those things.
You make that a prerequisite now, don't you? You don't have a stand unless you can talk at it as well, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good tactic, that.
Or don't even have a stand, just do the talk if you can get away with it. But what most people do is they want to sell their service, but you have to be clever.
Yourself, yeah.
You got to sell a solution to the marketplace in terms of covering their pay. Like, they are worried. I'm going to spend 3 million, whatever it is, on refurbishing my hotel. That's a lot of money. And they want to hear things that can be done to save the money, and that's going to save some pain. And they want to listen to that talk. So if I go and talk at a conference, like a business conference, arguably now, my name might draw some people in, which sounds really big-headed of me.
Here he is.
But
somebody's got some big ego energy today.
I might
get the point. But you wouldn't make it the James Sinclair talk. You'd be like, here's this sector's pain point and how you solve it.
So when I first started speaking at conferences, I used to say 22 things that stupid business owners do, or something. I would put, let me just rephrase that, only stupid business owners would not come along to this talk. Here's 22 tips to grow your business, something like that. Or 8 tips on how to grow your business using no money. It's like, oh right, I want to go and listen to that. Or how to buy a business with no money. Those, I would label it like that and not use my name. And I think people will go along to those conferences. And I think it's you as well, JB, like the power of speaking and helping people in a talk that can really draw great people to. And if you've got 300-400 people listening to you talk, 3 or 4 of them might be gold clients for you.
Yeah, I was just gonna would you think that the cost of that would be, would that be worthwhile. Like obviously I probably
100%.
would want to do it in the US, so that the cost would be obviously quite high. You're probably looking, I don't know how much it costs to book a
well, I think you would offer.
Things,
I would speak to all these conferences and say, look, I'm doing a talk on this. If you'd like me there, and they'd probably, get you along for free at that stage.
Okay.
Sometimes you do have to pay to speak. But what my message I always say here on the pod is, if you are going to do an exhibition and pay, 5, 10, 20,000, 50,000 for a stand, you must keynote at it as well, because you'll get more bang for your buck. More people want to come see your stand because you're a keynote speaker, which hardly anyone does.
No.
And it is a brilliant hack for getting a better return on
because they want to sell the stands.
Yeah.
And if they won't do the deal, hold fire on the stand, because that salesperson will...
And all these conference people, they just want loads of keynote speakers usually, don't they?
Yeah. That's what's filling it up, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll go, you can do a keynote speech. You're like, the keynote talk is worth way more
Than the stand.
You're getting
100%.
someone sit and listen to you for 45 minutes, an hour, one to many. I mean, you know the power of it, don't you, JB? And I do, because we've both done it many times. I mean, this is, stuff the stand, get the keynote,
We actually had it was at your event.
Yeah.
So we had a stand and did a talk, and I landed 2 clients off the back of the talk.
Yeah.
Which probably now is probably made us the best part of 100,000 quid.
Yeah.
And on the stand we did back-to-back interviews both days, and we turned the videos around and made nice pieces of content for people. I think we did 15 videos with people.
Yeah, for sure.
And spoke to everyone who's in that room. Not a single lead came directly off the stand. I think they probably subconsciously did, and then obviously being on the stage, that's the real power. If they see you on the stand and then the stage, what you really want to do as well, if you can be super picky, is don't go on the last day and go on one of the last spots, because that's really difficult, because you want people to have like half a day at least.
Yeah, and offer to speak multiple times if you can. I mean, I've spoken 3 times at a and I do 3 different keynotes. You just want more, and then you get put in the program, don't you?
That's it. Yeah.
So you look like you've got authority. You look like you're an expert. Wow. And also, it's like the exhibition is endorsing you by putting you on stage. So everyone subconsciously thinks, this must be a good business.
I know what they're doing. Yeah.
This must be a good business. I mean, and I think I'm a little bit a disservice. I think it's still important to have the exhibition space. And when I just said,
definitely,
don't worry about the exhibition space. Actually, I take it that about. I think you do need both.
But if you can only have one or the other, do the keynote.
Absolutely, yeah. And JB said he's made hundreds of thousands. I think I've made millions of pounds from being on stage.
Oh yeah, definitely
millions.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean in this space, lots of leisure conferences I've spoken at, and I speak at for free.
And you talk, just to give context, you talk like niche things, don't you? Like the small farm park leisure attraction of the southeast of England. Like you'll go to
done so many of them. I mean, I've done one last week. So I did a freebie last week for the local council.
Oh, I saw that.
They asked me and they begged me, and they said, can you just come and do a little 20-minute talk on the story of Rossi? And I just had a gut feeling that I should go and do it. And there was the chief exec of the council there. There was people, one of my bank managers at Handelsbanken, he was there. All the local MPs were there. And do you know what? It was actually a very good thing to do, because they positioned me, because I was doing it for free.
Like a rock star,
I came in, done all that, I've done the Q&A, and you're positioned as the expert. The leader of the council now wants to have a meeting with me. And for where we are in Southend for Rossi Ice Cream, they are very powerful connections.
Yeah.
So I really do think speaking is just so, and you don't also know the people that are listening to you speak go, oh, my mate Dave is looking about that.
Yeah.
And he's a hotel owner, and Roger's a hotel owner, and Roger and Dave share ideas, and then and off it goes.
Yeah. Because in your space, I think the people, if they are sort of like small family offices that own stuff, owners will know other owners.
Yeah.
And that's probably like, if you could accelerate word of mouth for what you do, I think that'd be really powerful.
Yeah.
How did you get your very first customer? And that's one of Jimbo's favourite questions, but just out of interest, like what's a little bit of your backstory in terms of how did you come up with this tech in the first place?
Yeah, I went to college. Just a backstory on me. Then I went to college to study a course called geomatics, which is basically how I like to describe it is you're capturing the physical world and then putting into a digital a digital format. So, and for engineering works more so. So you might be doing like you might be capturing a car and then getting that car into like kind of maybe an aerodynamic software, and they can run tests, stuff like that. So I did that, and then I went out and I set up 2 companies that didn't work. So I've been trying somewhat around this area for a while. And then with regards to the first customer here, I went to speak to a kind of a family friend who's done very, very well in business, and just completely separate to anything. Just wanted to get his feedback on a few things that I was doing. And he then said, "Oh, well, I own a lot of restaurants in the US. We're actually, I'm getting a lot of complaints that we're getting, we can't get any as-built drawings or architectural drawings. Are you able to do that?" And then that was the first client, which was about 30 restaurants across the US, to get going, and then it kind of took off from there.
Well, I think then when we said about going to these family offices and accountants and people that know
you've done it.
Just do more of that. I mean, that obviously does work. Should we trundle through the rest of the challenges here? Challenge number 2, potential for rapid expansion. The challenges of finding educated talent to onboard quickly to deal with additional jobs.
I've got a question before that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to chuck it at both of you. Is the hotel, the new build hotel space, the biggest market for this tech? Because this feels like developers should be
existing buildings is what I'm new build, not so much. I haven't really done anything really in new build.
Okay,
it's existing buildings. So most hotels have to renovate, certainly with a brand, every 5 to 7 years. Could be even fewer than that. So their existing builds have to be. You have to get your renovation or your property inspected to keep your brand, and so most of my work would be existing buildings or existing hotels, which would be where a lot of investment would be. It's much easier, obviously, to buy an existing hotel than to build a new one.
Gotcha. Okay, that is a much bigger market than I'd imagined was the target market in my mind. Fine, fair enough.
I think office refurbs, I think as well, you should consider those.
Yeah.
All this baloney that no one's going into the office anymore. You speak to any cabbie and people in London, like they're going back to the offices more and more now.
Yeah.
So potential for rapid expansion of the challenges of finding educated talent to onboard quickly to deal with additional jobs. Can you give us some context, please?
Yeah, so like you have a lot of kind of long game clients that I have to be following up with. So like they'll be much larger, organizations. So they might have, let's say they might own over 500 hotels, or for example, I'm in talking with IHG, so they're over 6,000 hotels, and they're giving me good feedback. And it would be kind of like, it would go from like you're saying, maybe 1 or 2 hotels. And their feedback would be, that I've gotten back from IHG would be, if we started, it would start out with they put in that all of their existing hotels that are going to be renovated throughout 2025 would have to have this completed. It would be like brand pushed. So that would go, you could have a couple hundred, less than, 400 or 500 hotels within a year. Then coming through from 2 or 3. Yeah. So then expanding, particularly in the industry that I'm in and the knowledge that I would have, it's very niche. Like, for example, only 6 people graduated from my college course when I did it, certainly, and it's actually disbanded now. So to find the people that would maybe be able to take it over somewhat my position is now, and then to be able to have maybe more of a higher view my position would move to, it is difficult. And then also within that, to complete the type of work, the engineering work, again, then it is difficult.
So what is the engineering work? So you're doing, so you need someone to actually, because you've said you've never met You've never met any of your clients. You've never been to the US. So who does the scanning? Is it a specialist bit of software and equipment?
That I've sorted. That one, that problem is sorted. The technician side thing is sorted. I have a list of technicians that I can call upon. That's not really the issue. It's more the issue is kind of the internal affairs at GeoMouse, like being able to hire in, the proper individuals to do let's say we're doing, Revit modeling would be a lot of things, all of the different, just to even have the knowledge of when we speak on a call to, answer questions that the clients may be having. That would be second nature to me, but would have to be really kind of taught in, and a lot of, training, I guess, gone into that. And then if you have rapid expansion, obviously it's difficult to,
but can I just say, like, you haven't had the rapid expansion yet, have you? So
no,
don't worry about it. But when that happens,
worry about it when it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. This can be a curse of entrepreneur. What if £1 billion worth of contract comes in tomorrow? Then you sort it out.
Yeah.
but
the money will be flowing, and then
My point. I think there is another little point that I want to make here, and we've spoke about this a lot on the pod, JB, is go for half the skill, not all the skill. So if I spoke to someone that I think we had a telephone engineering business on, they couldn't find the telephone engineers. Right. I just said, employ a Sparky and then teach them the last 20%. I went, I could do that. Because he's going out there looking for Mark II of him. Yeah. That just doesn't exist, And and I had this, I always reference, I worked with a specialist dental firm first when I was doing consultancy work sort of 10 years ago. I had a really super successful business. And he said, I can't expand it because I can't find these specialist dentists. He done like this, like top tier dental stuff. So just employ normal dentists and train them up. Yeah. It might cost you 100,000 in training for a few years, but look what you'll have, because he was charging big money, like £35,000 dental procedure that only a few people could do. He went, I suppose I'd only have to do like 4 jobs, and he's got work coming out of his bottom that he could do this stuff. And he's like, I suppose I could do that. Because that is, when there's a shortage of skills, go for half the skill and then upskill. And actually, it's a common theme that comes on the pod, what you're talking about here, Michael. Lots of entrepreneurs go, well, I can't find the exact carbon copy of me, so it will never grow. But actually, you could find someone, as long as they've got the attitude and some of the skills, that you can then upskill them. It actually doesn't take long. Doesn't take long.
Yeah, I suppose it's just more the fear, obviously, when you just don't want to lose a client, because
you do it together. You co-work together for
operations in-house.
6 months or 8
Bring
months
the operations in-house.
Yeah.
And actually in-house, like with you. So I know you're working in Ireland, like actually get like a WeWorky, Regus-y kind of space, and do at least hybrid working in person, because people will learn vicariously from being around you. The speed of learning, when you just hear the operator of that business just talking again and again, they'll be picking up subconscious stuff that you don't even realise they're picking up, but you just can't do that remotely from the other side of the planet as easily.
Yeah, I think we all complicate it way more than we think, and we do that in all of our business. And I just think, when I started out as a magician, I would have someone shadow me for 3 months, come into all my gigs, and then they were off and they were fine, and I think I was so scared about making ice cream. I never made ice cream before, but it doesn't take long to learn this stuff. And you very quickly understand things. Never understood how to run a hotel, but I think I know a lot more now than I did in the beginning. But that's because I've immersed myself and I've been around people. But what is this thing you called it? Is it meta? What is the title? Matterport. So you find someone that does Matterport for people that are doing construction. But so they know half the stuff, and then you upskill them over 100 days. They sit next to you and you learn, and you give them a bit of your work, and then you do the final 20%. You have all the Zoom calls together and you say, you didn't say that correctly, and this would be better, and blah blah blah. You'll be fine. I think that really is a non-shout, and I think a concern that many have that they just don't need to have concerns about.
Talking of the Matterport thing, I would actually be looking at Matterport as a really good case in point of how you go and market this business? Because obviously I know it's a slightly different sector, but they do something similar, and even, you know, funnel hacking. So, you know, are they running ads anywhere? Can you reverse engineer where they're running their ads to, who they're targeting? Because if you go into like transparency on Facebook page, and they're probably not on Facebook to be fair, but if you go onto transparency on the page, you can actually see exactly what the adverts are running and who they're running them towards. It might just give you a bit of context as to how they're going about it, which might be kind of useful.
I've just had an aha moment.
Here we go. Buckle in, everybody.
This is from hotel experience as well, knowing quite a few hotel owners now. Hotel owners usually engage interior designers that specialise in hotels.
Yeah.
There are also lots of hotel furniture companies that you buy furniture.
Procurement agencies.
Specifically for hotels, yeah. Because people want the higher rated cushions or the harder wearing furniture or stuff like that. You just want in the domestic market.
Yeah. Well, I
need
work
to be
with
your
them
best
every
friends.
day.
Well, yeah.
I work with them every day. So, yeah.
Right. Well, then I've now thought of another thing. There is an opportunity there maybe for content marketing here, and maybe start the hotel interior podcast or YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And then you get all of the experts in that space and you interview them.
Great idea.
After 52 weeks of doing that, so you've got a year's worth of content, everyone within this space, and there's probably only 500,000 on the planet, people on the planet that would be really interested in that, but you could
no offense, is it?
Well, no, it's not being, but that's good. There's riches and niches,
I know,
so I think it'd be very easy to break into that niche. Go, you do hotel interior design. Do you know there's a podcast for that now? Really? There's only 10 of us on the planet, and there's a podcast for it now, and I think then you can turn that into newsletters,
blogs, articles, carousels. That's another reason to get on stage. Hey, well, come and we'll do the industry podcast live on stage.
Podcast, you'll get invited on stage more than you can shake your fist at.
Yeah.
Wrong choice of words. So there we go. Right. Where do you want to be in 1 year? So we would like to be at 60 to 80K per month. Well, I think doing that podcast and doing all the speaking will get you all those jobs. I think we've covered this because, like I said, what does the business look like when it's finished? Generating a few million in revenue, at a point where potentially one of my clients would be in a position to buy us.
That's the thing with a company like this. You probably only need to go into IHG for 24 months and they go, hang on a second, someone in procurement goes, we're paying this guy £2.5 million a year. Why can't we just buy this and have this in-house?
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing that happened with this.
Well, remember the danger that lies here then as well. Remember the 10% rule, that no more than 10% of your money comes from any one source. You've got to dilute them people, because that's the danger.
This could happen so easy.
Oh, Michael, yeah. Like
IHG will give you 50. You go, okay.
Yeah, then you
take
end
your foot off the gas for marketing.
You actually then effectively become an employee of theirs, well paid, and everything's going well for 3 or 4 years, and then they have a change of board directors or they merge with someone and you're finished. And I've seen that happen. I mean, I've had grown men in tears come to me talking about that happen. It happens all the time. So you've been warned, dear friend. What do you do day to day with your time in the business? Everything he does.
He does.
Yep.
So should we do questions?
Yes, because we've run a bit short on time here, Michael. You had 5 questions. Oh, no, you only had 1 question anyway. You're a very efficient man. Right, so your question was, how do I move away from operations that I've created relationships with without determent of that client? Determent, I like that. I'm going to use that again later. Of that client, maybe wanting to leave and not having a direct line with me or having a quality of service drop. We are looking for problems that don't exist here, Michael.
I think so, yeah. I mean, look, you do it together. So you bring on someone. This is what I've done in all my career. You're still around. You introduce them to your new team members. I'm going to jump on some of the calls, and then you
elevate them, don't you?
Yeah, you elevate them.
This person's better than me to deal with this because of this reason.
Yeah, they're much better than me. I'm still here, though. If you want me, I'm still here. And you hammer home that point. And everyone worries about this way more than they need to.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate that and get that person in before you need it, or do you get it?
Depends how big the client is.
Yeah.
But most of my client, I'm thinking about Delegating here in a big way. I mean, all of those.
Same sort of sector, actually, isn't it? Dealing with the same people that he would be going after. in a weird way, like the leisure industry
hotel
people.
operators, all of those big hitters that we deal with, they were directly looked after by me. None of them are looked after by me now, but I am going tomorrow to see one of them because there's potential new contracts. I don't want to divorce myself. I don't want to completely delegate to the point of abdication.
Touch base.
But I want to still be there. But I think you are worrying about this way more than you need to. It's certainly in the beginning, because it'd be just, you're going to employ one person and 3 people and you'll still be around. You'll be there for the first 10%. You won't do the middle 80%, but you also want to turn up for the last 10% as well.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Don't worry about it. Everyone worries about it. You literally, this is a playbook for lots of people that be going, because you're a solopreneur at the moment.
Yeah.
Looking at the next stage, which is entrepreneur, and then the last stage, investorpreneur, and you're looking at entrepreneurship thinking, I'm going to lose all my clients. Well, you're not going to let that happen, are you?
No. Yeah, no.
No one could do it as well as me.
Yeah.
No one understands the industry. I was exactly the same. It's like, no one understands podcasts. Like, I've launched so many podcasts, blah, blah, blah. But basically now I have a sales call with somebody and that's it. They get handed off to the team and I don't really speak. Yeah. But again, I'm always there supporting. I'll jump into Slack once in a while if I see something that's relevant to their sector. Hey, have you seen this news article? Might be worth talking about on the podcast. So you just touch base, find reasons to touch base, but you'll very quickly get yourself out of the necessity of being there for operations. In fact, like I've got to a point, and you're probably the same. If you get involved, people are like, could you just get out of the way now?
Yeah.
Because we've got a system, we don't need you involved.
Yeah, there you go.
I guess one last question before we go.
Go on then. Go on then.
Have a cheeky bonus one.
Yeah, a cheeky bonus one is, I think, do I focus in on trying to get these like ideal clients, or, like you said, I think I can probably capture a lot more of these, the little smaller jobs, like you're saying, architects and interior designs, or do I focus more on the ideal client?
Give him your tree analogy. Go on, drop the tree on him. He hasn't heard the tree.
I think both. You want your most customers and your ideal customers. And
can you do that as the tree analogy, or else that's going to make no sense? Everyone's going to be like, what's he talking about?
Yeah, I always talk about in business that you build a tree, and then the tree grows some fruits, and the fruits are your ideal customers. And what happens to lots of businesses is they start getting some ideal customers and they forget about their tree. And maybe they've picked some fruit and put it in the freezer, so they've got a couple of years supply. But if they leave the tree alone and let it die, wither out, they will stop getting their ideal customers. Most of my ideal customers come from my most customers. I think about holiday parks that we supply, and people have found our products in with smaller customers, said, "Oh, can we buy from you as well?" There's something for a little bit of money from a lot of people a lot of the time.
And even if, for example, it takes the same amount of time to do, let's say, a 30k job than it does to do a 3k job.
Well, I get that sentiment, and over time you will have lots and lots of ideal customers and then have even bigger ideal customers. But at the moment, as a one-man band, you're not in that position, so don't worry about it.
Content market around it. All the jobs that you're doing, you got to look at them. If they're only going to pay you 3k, then you have to get 27 grand worth of value out of them in terms of content marketing.
And they could also be the training for your new staff.
100%.
You give them all them jobs
That's
so
true.
they can learn stuff before you let them have the A players. It's like in banking, you start off as a branch manager in a bank doing £25,000 loans. They don't go, right, here you go, you can now write off £1 billion loan to someone. No. You go through the steps and all right, you've done a very good job here. You can now do £1 million loans. Oh, we've done a very good job here. You can now do £10 million loans. And they move you up and you learn doing the little stuff before you do the big stuff. And you're getting paid to allow yourself to train the staff. So actually, should work out cost neutral.
Okay, sounds good.
If anybody is looking for geomatic engineer type drawings because they've got a project on the go, let's say, because I think IHG, the big hitters at a lot of C-suite companies, the C-suite in a lot of leisure industry, they love this pod. So if Mr. IHG sat there at the top of his ivory tower, and do you know what? I have been thinking about doing that refurb. I wondered how much carpet we would need. Where should he go, Michael?
LinkedIn is good. Just Michael Kiernan on LinkedIn with GeoMouse, or the GeoMouse website as well, geomouse.com.
Perfect stuff. And by the way, you mentioned LinkedIn. I think that's another good place to go and find your most or ideal customers. LinkedIn, get Sales Navigator. It's like $80 a month or something like that. But you can actually then you can search for people based on job roles.
Yeah.
And I would go in proactively.
Absolutely.
Don't try and sell it. Don't do that spammy thing like, oh, hi, thanks for connecting. Did you know I got this amazing software? Just say thanks for connecting. Well, I know we're in the same space. Look forward to seeing your content, and then be putting out really good content and engaging on their content.
Okay.
Don't do that spammy nonsense that so many people do on LinkedIn. But I think that'll get you the right sort of people.
Good stuff. Well, thank you for being on the podcast today, and I wish you lots of success. Let's do some ratings.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it massively. Right, you're ready then. Let's do our. Oh, hello, bloody hell. Sorry, that was loud, wasn't it? Cool. None of us were ready for that. Right, this is the time for the 8 traits of the greats. This is the opportunity of the podcast where we talk about 8 traits of great entrepreneurs, and we rate our guest to see if they've got, or how many of the 8 traits that they've got. Michael has now been lovingly kicked out of the Zoom room, so that's absolutely fine. We can talk about him like he's not here, because he no longer is. Can we get our glamorous assistant to wheel in the trolley of love?
Trolley of love. It's the pens on there, Chuds. Oh, that's good. We only need one.
He's going to be absolutely fuming. Have we not got the chunky pens? I like the chunky pens.
Oh, we've got some swapped off, haven't they?
Here we go.
So the way this works, gang, we're going to rate our entrepreneur,
We are.
and then we're going to put them on the 8 traits of the greats leaderboard.
Is he going to make it onto the leaderboard though, Jimbo? That's the question that everybody wants to know. And not everyone makes it onto the 8 traits of the greats.
Starting with the end in mind, we did actually say what he wants his business to look like when it's finished with quite good clarity.
Did he? Was there enough clarity? A couple of million quid, making a bit of money. Let me tell you, hang on. Was it like when it's finished, generated a few million quid, considerable savings, operations? Yeah, he's going to sell it to a supplier. He can have that one. Go on then.
Yeah, okay. Passionate about their calls?
I reckon he can have a little half for that.
Half, okay, yeah.
Untold
amounts of resilience. I don't think he's been tested.
He hasn't been tested yet, has he? I don't think.
No,
that's not a bad thing.
The master relationships with people.
I liked him,
well,
but
he's scared of, if they don't look after the staff and look after the clients well enough and all this stuff.
he didn't actually sound like that. It's just your impression, by the way.
I'm going to give him half for that.
Go on then. You're being a savage
commercial
today.
awareness.
I like it.
Well, I do think he knows his numbers, but because he's small,
Okay, he only knows them to the point that he needs to know them, if that makes sense, which is fine.
I do think there's some innovation in him. Do you think that? Half?
Innovate so it doesn't evaporate? Yeah, I reckon so, yeah.
Half or full?
Oh, no, just a little half. Not giving it away. We're not a charity.
They're master marketeers. No.
Absolutely not.
Stay teachable and curious.
Yeah, we can have that one.
So
Go on, Jimbo.
1, 2, 3. He's got 4.
He's got 4. Do you know what? Unfortunately, that means that Michael is actually not getting on the board today. Why would you? She's 5. That's less than 4. We don't just add him on.
Okay, yeah, there we go. But that can we just say
the rules of a game that we've never explained the rules of?
Can I just say that most people get 4 to 5?
Today I'd only get 2. So don't even worry about it, Michael.
What, for you?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You've been really bad today. If you're
most
still
days.
employed by me, we'd be having a conversation. But he spent all of his money on some fancy port for his laptop.
An absolute nightmare. Shout out to Argos.
Shout out to Argos indeed.
Because they need the support.
Okay, gang, if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave us a little review. We'd much appreciate that.
We also love comments.
Comments, yes.
So if you've got an idea for what Michael should be doing with his business, if you're maybe in that space, if you're an interior designer or an architect, you go, no, Michael, you don't even know about this subsector. Leave it in the comments.
Hit the keyboard.
Hit the keyboard.
Hit
Your
the
keyboard warriors in a nice way.
And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. More of you are watching there before, so thank you very much. We hope we're helping you to grow your business. That's what we're passionate about here. See you in the next one.
Ta-da!
Thanks for watching today, gang. I hope you enjoyed the show. Now, look, we're looking for some great businesses to come on the podcast. If you've got challenges, but you're desperate to grow your business and you can't necessarily work out how to do it on your own, you'll be a perfect candidate to come here on the podcast. It's absolutely free to come on the show. Go to my website, jamessinclair.net, and there's a podcast button. Click on the podcast button, fill in the application form, and we'll do our very best to get you on the show and try and grow your business. If you're loving the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking here. And why not give this one a watch? I think you'll like it.